Hi everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome back to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. I hope most of you guys saw the '07 show, because that's going to help you understand a lot of the action that happened in the mineral market when CCP Fuzzy came on the show. I think Jita and Dixie, Amar, all the trade ups basically exploded when it comes to some of the minerals, but we'll check that out as we go along. In EVE Talk, I need to sit down here and then we'll get started. So first of all, whoops, don't want to spoil too much of that just yet. Let's start with plex right here, and that's going to be 0.40 and plex have gone up to like 804 million or almost that, but I can already see quite a bit of supply coming in for plexes, so that should actually be quite okay. If we go for a lower chart, like maybe the 3-month chart, you can see that plex has been holding steady around the 800 million mark for quite a while now, and it doesn't look like that is going to change anytime soon. In fact, that means that I may start investing in some plexes myself on good weeks, because I do feel that the next time that the traders start hitting plex, we'll see a billion, since the starting point seems to be 800 million, the current consensus price. And we're just not going down despite the sales fan fests, it being summer and activity should start, or being summer starting to come, and activity should start to actually decrease after the winter spike with winter expansion, the trailers and all of that stuff. So I feel that 800 million is just the price for plex and will be the bottom when the next move up will be starting to happen. So I will slowly, I think, start to invest some of my ISK in plexes. And yeah, 790 for the buyers, 803.6 for the sellers. We do see quite a bit of supply coming in, so people are trying to sell their plexes above 800 million whenever they have the chance, and the price is just going just above and just below 800 million, depending on when you check the market. Here's the multiple pilot trading certificate. That one is actually going up just a little bit, so the sellers are now at 812 million. You're actually paying a premium to get multi-trading going. At the moment, supply also feels quite limited compared to the plexes, and it looks like that's actually a turnaround from the situation. So you can see that the certificate was below 795 for quite a bit, with just one little spike up to 800, but now it spiked up and it actually caught the plexes, so that's interesting. At the moment, converting a few plexes into pilot trading certificate could actually make you just a little bit of money. Interesting situation. Next up, the body resculpt. You can see that one has actually been going up for 3 months straight, starting at 150 million, now at 170 million. So that's actually a pretty sustained move from the body resculpt certificate. You can also see that supply is not that big. There's just a few of them, 9 of them for purchase for 190. The buyers are up to 160 million, so it's pretty interesting that there seems to be a little action on the sellers here, but you can probably make some money out of this. So both of these, I think, comparatively overtaking the plex. Pretty interesting. That one is holding quite well at 800 million. Next up, we'll touch on the minerals, of course. That's going to be a big part of this EVE talk, and that's at 352. So let's start here with titanium, which well, is going down just a little bit. You can see at the tail end we definitely have a trend break here, 5-day moving average crossing the 20-day moving average, going down. Current price for titanium 597. It was 595 when I checked it, so it's already going back up a little bit. That's interesting. Supply is coming in though, 360 million, 100 million, 100 million here again. Demand is there as well though, almost a billion, 800 million, 340, 500. So the pressure on the price to go up is there because of the supply, but I guess this is just the announcement that the nullsec ores would be rebalanced to yield minerals more in line with what you need to actually do production locally. And this could mean, of course, that there will be less import from high sec to null sec in order to get production going there. And this is, I think, why we're seeing this response from the titanium price that had been going up for a little bit and crossing the 5-day moving average. So I think that this is due to the announcement during the 07 show. Next up we see pyrite here, very similar chart. Again, pyrite had been going up for a little bit, but here 5-day moving average clearly crossing 20-day moving average, bringing pyrite back down a little bit. Currently 1266 for the sellers, 1257 for the buyers. Supply demand 33, 17, 14 million compared to 154 and 200 million, 50 here. I'd still give the edge to supply though. So I feel that this move happened because of the 07 show, but that overall the damage will be limited because supply is still very strong when it comes to the high-sec minerals. Next up we've got Mixalon right here. That one actually tried a little bit of a move up, but it's true that Mixalon had been going down for the last 3 months, although 61.5 to 58.5 it's not that drastic. Generally though, Mixalon had been going down, so that's a bit of a different response. But if we look at current prices, 58.22 for the sellers, 57.05 for the buyers, just holding on quite a bit lower actually than the chart is showing at the moment. So similar response, just that the chart needs to catch up to it. Here is Isogen, again 5-day moving average going to cross the 20-day moving average right at the 129 price mark, something like that. So we're actually already looking at 127.4 for the sellers in Isogen and 124.01 for the buyers. Supply demand here, look at that, 27 million, 56 million. We have to go quite a bit lower to find 56 million on the buy orders. So for Isogen, this could actually sustain itself for a bit longer because the supply isn't trying to push the price back up just yet. So that's interesting. We could actually go back to like 125, 126 for Isogen if I look at the supply demand numbers. I didn't look at that for Mixalon. Let's have a look here. Yeah, again here 21, 31, 23, 31. That's actually pretty big. And you have to go quite a bit lower to find the bigger orders for Mixalon. So again here, supply coming in, putting pressure on the Mixalon price. But overall, I feel that this is a response to the 07 show, and that while the price will go down a little bit, I don't think we'll see like a general trend or a general crash in the high-sec minerals just yet. Next up we've got Noxium, that surprisingly enough is actually moving just like the other high-sec minerals. Again, 5-day moving average crossing 20-day moving average, price going down quite a bit, starting at 680 or above 680. We are now at 650, 654 for the sellers and 635 for the buyers. Supply demand here, it's actually quite okay. I feel that most of these recent orders, well, here 3.5, 3 million again, but here 3 million, 1.5, 2 million. This feels in line, honestly, the supply demand situation. So I do think that Noxium, after going down a bit, is going to start to go back in a sideways movement at around 650, maybe 640, maybe a bit lower than that. But I feel that the move down will be limited because there is significant demand for minerals at the moment. But the big moves, of course, right here, let's check out Zydrine. Look at that, that's pretty substantial. Starting at 400 million, the bottom for Zydrine, we are now looking at 1000 ISK, so that's 150% profit from the bottom. Buyers had to follow suit, 962 on the buy orders, not bad. But the first spike here is the FanFest element, when they said that they would rebalance the ores. The second big spike here, that's the fuzzy announcement at the 07 show that they would actually increase the need for Zydrine and megasite in the blueprints. So in order to produce stuff, you'll basically need almost double the Zydrine and double the megasite. Add to that the rebalance of the ores to probably yield less of it compared to the other ores, minerals I should say. Yeah, you get this double whammy right here with more than doubling the price of Zydrine. Here's the megasite chart starting at 700 for the bottom. We are now looking at 1563, just one lonely buy order, but 1800 is actually where the competition is showing up on the sellers. That is more than 150% profit, and that is quite a significant move in both megasite and Zydrine. Those were of course named during the 07 show. These minerals would would be much more needed for production, you know, almost doubling in some goods. We don't know the details on that yet, but the market movement was right there. I think a lot of people tried their chance, you know, on this trade, but I personally feel I did not make a move. You know, I was not sitting in Jita while watching the 07 show. The reason for that is you're generally just too late, and I don't want to be sitting with Megasite purchased at 1800, trying to gamble that it would go even higher. I think that's not anything that I want to do. If you wanted to have made money, you would have had to say, okay, I'm going to invest at these bottom prices in Megasite and in Zydrine. I've always been pretty skittish about that myself during the EVE talks. I've always said, well, I don't know when this is going to end. CCP would need to step in. They did, and here is the big move up. So it would have been the right move to actually buy Megasite, buy Zydrine at those bottom prices. You would have made bank right now. Look at the volumes as well here on Megasite and on Zydrine. This is the FanFest announcement, and then here volume sustained for several days already for the 07 show announcement. So that is pretty significant, of course, and a lot of money has been made, but keep in mind a lot of money will have been lost already as well. They just don't know it yet because people have been buying these at too high prices. That could happen as well, of course. But yeah, overall, look at that. Pretty big move up for Megasite and for Zydrine. Morphite, which is used for Tech 2 production, was not mentioned, and so that one rode the FanFest announcement just a little bit, but overall not that much of a move in Morphite for those interested. It's really been Zydrine and Megasites in the last few days. Those were the stars of any trades, honestly. 150% profit sounds pretty good to whoever made those trades. Next up, we've got Tech 1 chips, and that's at 12 minutes. Let's take a look here. I took someone's advice here. I added the Vexor to the Tech 1 chips. That was something that I asked for, and that's one of the ships I was asked. I think the only one. So if you have other Tech 1 ships you want me to check, feel free to post that in the comments, and I will try and add them for the next EVE talk. But here is Apocalypse, pretty much still stable on the chart here, despite this one spike up. Really big counter reaction, way too much supply coming in, another spike up again, but here now stable at 178 millions for an Apocalypse. Here's the Caracal working on a new spike, so I guess that means that someone came in, bought a big chunk of Caracals from the market, causing the price to go up. Actually pretty funny. It could be that they basically watched EVE talk last week where I said, well, looks like Caracal has finally normalized again at around the 10.5 million mark, and someone came right back in to buy another fleet of them. So Caracal, if you have them or if you can produce them on short notice, it's probably a good move to do so, but keep in mind the Tech 1 industry tends to be able to plug these holes very quickly. Next up here, the Dominic's chart. That one has actually been going up as a general trend a little bit from 190 to, I would say, yeah, 205 million. So that trend is up for the Dominic's, but it's been doing so in a very steady manner, nothing too drastic except for one spike here up to 210. That caused supply to respond. I guess that overall the Dominic's and the drone ships are still very popular because of their versatility and their use in NOSEC at the moment, with sentry drones being quite a powerful meta that's used quite a bit. So that is why we're seeing the Dominic's actually having a bit of an uptrend, generally speaking, but it could be that supply will finally start to come in here for them as well. Now that you can sell Dominic's above 200 million, I think quite some producers might jump in on the chance here, and that we could actually see it slow down quite a bit. Here's the Myrmidon working on a bit of its spike as well. Supply though 20, 14, 9, 9, so that's already starting to come in. The move on Myrmidon is going to be quite short-lived, I think. Here's the Stabber then, quite stable, you know, 10.5 million at the start, at the end as well. Bit of a move in between here, but nothing to write home about. Overall, showing the Tech 1 stability quite nicely. Same for the Tornado. 66 million, something like that on average, and it's been just moving around that in quite a narrow band for quite a while. So very nice example of stability. And then here is the Vixor that was asked to be checked as well during the Tech One ship part of Eve Talk. And that's decently interesting actually. You can see the stability in it, I think. If you put the average at like 11.2, 11.3 million, something like that, you can see that it's managed to stay around here. But unlike the Caracal, which now spikes up right here, the Vixor seems to now spikes quite down quite a bit. So 10.9, the average. Or most of the trend break seems to be down for the Vixor. So that's pretty interesting. What may be happening in the Vixor market is that it's very versatile ship that's often proposed to new players. You know, you should check out the Vixor. It's going to help you do some exploration, some missions, maybe some mining if you want to. It's got a decent cargo hold, it's got the versatility you need, and then because of that it's also one of the ships that gets produced first, and because of that we could be seeing an oversupply situation for the Vixors quite a bit more often. In fact, at the tail end here we can see that it's working on another bit of a dip. And is the supply oversupply here? I would say yes. Look at that, 51, 23, 23, 109, 50, 10. That's quite a bit. Average daily volumes for Vixor 200, 250, maybe something like that. So those are pretty big numbers to come in here, especially that one at 109. And so it could be that from time to time the Vixor knows some oversupply because it's such a popular ship early on in your Eve career. It could be that a lot of people choose that as one of the first ships they start to produce as well. So interesting stuff, very good suggestion, I would say, the Vixor. If you have any other ones, feel free to post that in the comments. And now we'll move on to Tech 2 ships, 1630. Here's the Basilisk. This is a 3-month chart. I think I should go to a 6-month chart to show the spiky behavior of some of these Tech 2 ships. But here I would be careful. It's a bit of a dip, and we are looking at 180. Well, still 180.5 for the buyers. It's still a little bit too high for my taste, but one thing that you can notice here is that supply is completely drying up. So this is working on a spike. If you want to try and take advantage of it, you may be able to do so, but I feel it's already a little bit too late to be purchasing basilisks. Here is the Golem. General trend up quite a bit actually, from 1.1 billion to 1.18 billion, being decently stable with some small spikes here. Supply demand, this actually feels quite okay, so I think that the Golem, you don't want to trade in that at the moment. But if you could do the right trades on some of these spikes from 1.06 to 1.2 billion, that's quite a bit of money made. So we'll keep an eye on some of these Marauders. Next up, the Guardian. Coming off of a dip, unfortunately it's already stalling here, so no big spike to announce just yet on the Guardians. 132.2 for the buyers, that's right here. So maybe it's still in buyer territory. I think the Guardian supply is still pretty big though, 65, 19, 10. So a little bit too early to say that a spike is going to happen. You may want to invest a bit in these. Here's the Hound then. Oh my god, that one is going down quite a bit, breaking its 6-month low records right here. So we're currently looking at less than 16 million for the buyers for the Hounds. Supply is still pretty big, but medium to long term I think that we will see Hounds coming back a little bit, and so you may want to invest in some of these if you want to make these trades. Here's the Manticore coming off of a little spike, which was not what I was expecting, so that's not that bad. 22 million and then up to 25 million, more than 10%. That's an okay spike to risk some trades on, but I would not have done so because the Manticore is just much higher in price than the other stealth bombers at the moment. So I feel it's pretty risky. You can also see that supply is pretty big here, 355 of them. That is going to stop any new spikes from happening in the short term, I think, so I would not make a move on the Manticore, honestly. Here's the Nemesis, working on a nice double dip towards 19 million, 18.6 for the buyers, in fact less than 19 million for the sellers as well. Second covert ops, that's going down quite substantially, but you may want to invest in those, like I said, medium to longer term. Here's the Oneros, could be interesting as well for buying. Charts pointing to 150, buyers 143, sellers below 150. Some supply that needs to be chewed through, but this could be okay for some investment once again. And here is the Paladin, the second marauder that I check, and I feel that this is really interesting. Look at that, being very stable, trending up a little bit with a spike to 1.15 billion, then going down, but again pretty damn stable at 0.95 billion. This at the end here though is a clear trend break. Currently buyers for Paladins 863 million, that's quite a bit lower than the chart. 863, that's right around here. So this is interesting. If the Paladin could know a spike at some point and you can purchase them at the moment, that is quite nice, and it's a clear trend break from the stable Paladin that we've seen over the last few months. So yeah, that's quite interesting. It's too big for my wallet to invest $1 billion in a ship that I can't fly, but for traders, I don't know, I'd check it out. Next up, the Purifier again. Ooh, look at that. Also reaching 6-month low on the Purifier. Currently buyers 16.3 million, sellers 16.8 million, so below 17 million for the sellers as well. That is interesting. I personally feel that for medium term to longer term, this could still be okay, but there's got to be an explanation for why all of these covered up frigates are going down in price substantially. And I think that it is due to the Entosis link changes that have been announced already. So they're going to make it much more difficult for a frigate to fit the Tech 2 version, and it's going to require fuel, so that's going to be very hard to do. To manage to maintain an Entosis link on a structure in something like a frigate. And so I guess a lot of people were actually planning to use covered up ships to try and capture sovereignty for cheap, but that's not going to work anymore, and this is why we could see this big reaction, maybe people dumping some stocks that they had already bought in preparation of this. That it is a possibility. On the other hand, then I would say that stealth bombers, covered up ships have their uses, especially in other space, low sec, wormhole space, and so I do feel that this could be an overreaction and that they could be coming back, if this is the right explanation, of course, why we're seeing all of them dip down and come to very low points across the board. Next up, we've got the Scimitar. It's good to see that it's actually going down again, breaking that 20-day moving average, so seemingly coming out of its stable period. Again, the Scimitar, it's very unfortunate to see that in the last 4 months or so it's been too stable to make some trades. If you look at those big spikes at the start here, that would have been pretty awesome to be able to make those trades, but it is going down. So 130, yeah, below 130 for the buyers. This could be another trigger right here, and in general this week, oh my, no spikes up for Tech 2 ships. All of them, I would have to say that you could consider a lot of them for buying and investing in them. Be a bit careful when it comes to the frigates. That could be something that's too much of a trend to be a mistake, or to be something that's just related to trading. But overall, it could be a good time to invest in some Tech 2 ships, and if in a few weeks or so CCP announces something with the Tech 2 industry, something to the Tech 2 materials, you could have made a pretty good move. And as I've said, this is quite similar, I feel, especially on some of these stealth bombers, to the situation that we had in Tech 3s and in the minerals, where you might want to look for some goods or some ships that reach a bottom that you've not seen in 6 months or even a year, and if that manages to sustain itself for a while, at some point CCP might make the right move and your trade will actually be the right one, the winner one. It's very difficult to try and become the successful trader when the announcement drops. There's just that much competition and players with really big wallets that you need to compete with. I feel that is just too hard. It's not something that I actively try to do, but to try and find those trades that could yield the big money medium to long term, that is something that I think anyone can do that plays EVE Online. Next up, we'll check the trick. We'll check the Tech 3 market, and that is 24 20. So let's have a quick look here. First of all, the confessor, of course, pretty stable. What's interesting here is that big volume spike right there. That is pretty interesting. But we're still looking 41.5 for the buyers, 48.3 for the sellers. So no big move. It's just that much supply that even a big volume spike has no noticeable effect on the price. Here's the Legion, clearly going down because of an oversupply situation. We're almost back where we were 6 months ago. 22, 39, 14, 14, oversupplying the Legion, it's just a fact. Here's the Loki, quite a bit slower. So that one manages to maintain a bit of a higher price, but still here 19,5,599. There is too much supply. This is going to put more pressure on the Loki price, and we'll probably see that one keep going down slowly as well. Here's the Proteus then. Obviously very, very similar supply here, 22, 32, 17. All of these are less than a day old. It's just a situation in the Tech 3 market once again. 13, 11 Tengus coming in, despite the fact that the price is now back to 133 million, so back where we were 6 months ago. You can once again buy Tech 3 cruisers for a very cheap price. Next up here, or finally, the Zwepel. That's interesting. For the Zwepel, we have the same volume spike that we saw in the confessor, and we actually see the price do something similar. So it started at maybe 37, 38 million. We're currently looking at 49 million for the sellers on Zwepel. This is something I've never seen before. A price spike up in such a new product as this Zwepel. Pretty interesting. I'm not sure what this is related to. I know that there's a bit of rebalancing that's going to come when it comes to these destroyers, but it's generally considered a nerf. I think they want to avoid people being able to fit oversized prop modules and then all the guns and everything they need for tank and damage as well. So I thought it was going to be a bit of a nerf to the Tech 3 destroyers that was going to come, but we see a big volume spike and we see sustained prices, I would say, for them. So interesting, the Zwepel doing something I've never seen before. And then finally, for the extra product, that is 2650. I'm going to take something that's actually useless, but it's a bit of a personal interest. Right here we have the Antikythera element. This is something that is being dropped by the sleepers that are in HiSec and another space, I think, at the moment. So not the normal sites in wormhole space, but it's those circadian seekers, I think, that drop this Antikythera element. And this should find its use in producing the Entosis link. The Entosis link should come in April as well. And this is one of those interesting tidbits that were dropped that you may have missed and that I thought was pretty interesting. The Entosis link will have a use normally when it will be deployed on TQ for the first time. It won't be tied to sovereignty because that would be too much of a change all of a sudden, but it will have a use. And so my theory on this would be that you will be able to use the Entosis link for inactive post towers. So you'll that would be my theory on this. Considering that CCP is actively developing new structures at the moment, I think that a cleanup operation by the players when it comes to inactive post towers on moons could be something that they may want to facilitate. And so this is my theory. I could be completely wrong, but I think that we'll have the Entosis link in April. It will use this Antikythera element to be produced, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to clean up inactive post towers with it without needing to do the whole structure grind. I think that could be very interesting. I think it's a possibility, and yeah, we may actually go after some of these Antikythera elements ourselves, or Antikythera elements, maybe that's how you should pronounce it, because it's got Terra in there once again. And the price not that bad. You could look at that, sellers 29 million. I actually saw an Ishtar solo 4 of those Circadian Seekers on a gate. And I think all of them actually dropped something, so it is possible that the drop rate is 100%. We know that they come in groups of 4 or 5 Circadian Seekers, and taking them down doesn't seem to be that hard, and that could be some easy money. So I will probably check that out now that I'm back in HiSec. I'm definitely interested to try and follow the lore aspects of EVE Online a bit more closely than what we did during the wormhole. And so yeah, Antikythera element probably going to find its use in the Entosis link. hopefully the entosis leak will allow us to snatch some pus towers, some inactive pus towers when it is deployed. I think that would be pretty damn awesome. Anyways, that's it for this Eve Talk then, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.